Imagine being able to smile again with confidence, eat your favorite food, and speak clearly, all thanks to dentures. But here's the thing, not all dentures are created equally. Traditional full dentures to modern implant supported dentures to partial denture to flex dentures. Oh my God, there is a lot. Welcome to the Wonder Tooth Podcast, and I am your host today, and my name is Dr. Saad. But before I keep going, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel so we can grow and we can reach other people as well. Make sure you put code DENT100, DENT. Today is our 100th episode. It's like a big thing. I started this a couple of years ago, and here we are. 100 episodes. It's fantastic. My name is Dr. Radwa Saad, and thank you very much for watching me. If you are on YouTube or listening to me, if you are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, we're like everywhere. I really appreciate you guys, and I'll keep going. I've been doing dentistry for over 20 years. I have a degree in Canada, in the US. I practice in both countries, and I have a master's degree in implant placement and restoration. I am a speaker for Dentsply Sirona, which is one of the largest dental companies in the world. Companies like suppliers and manufacturers. So they manufacture a lot of the dental technology. And here I am today. I am in on the East Coast in Princeton, New Jersey, and we have our new office is coming up soon in Manhattan, New York. So if you need any help, make sure you give me a shout out. Write in the comments below if you have any questions or if you want to come for a consultation. So make sure you put that code DENT100 to get a complimentary consultation in our office or even virtual. But let's talk about dentures. Okay, so what is a denture? So denture is basically those fake teeth. It's removable, and a lot of patients they come and be like, I want to know my options. Pull everything and put a denture, right? Didn't you think about that before as well? So a lot of patients they have that same idea. They think a denture is going to fix all the problems, and they don't know that dentures they have their own issues too. But first, let's talk about the types of dentures that are available out there. So number one is a full denture or a complete denture. And what is that? It's basically when you have no teeth at all, and we call it edentulous. So you have no teeth on the top or the bottom or both of them, and now we need to put something removable or fake teeth. And how do we do it? It's a process. It takes usually around 2 months to have a complete denture made like the old traditional way. There are now like faster, and I'm gonna talk about that, like faster outcomes that can be done in 2 appointments. I'll explain that in the down the line as well. But the first one, complete denture traditional way, take impression, send it to the lab, come back and do this, and make do like a little try-in, take the bite registration, and basically until you have those teeth in your mouth. Now, pros and cons. So dentures are way more affordable than dental bridge or implant supported dentures. Okay, but if you have no teeth, then dental bridge is not even an option at this point, unless if it's a bridge on top of implants. So it's really affordable compared to implants, and it can restore all your teeth on the top and the bottom. Can you have full denture on one arch and then natural teeth on the bottom? Absolutely, yes. Can you have full denture on one arch and partial denture or implant on the opposite arch? Yes, you can mix and match basically. But it's pretty affordable compared to implants. Takes a little bit of extra time. It can restore pretty much all the arch full of teeth, top and bottom. It can improve the speech and the appearance. Of course, when you have no teeth, you feel like your lower jaw is basically shrinking, your lips are sunken in, and then you have no support. You cannot chew your teeth, of course. And it's not invasive like implant placement. I place implants, I do dentures, so it's not invasive, and it can be done as I made a couple of months. It's not a bad idea, or sometimes couple of appointments too, depending really at what kind of. I will touch base on that. But it's the cons really, it's something new in you, especially if this is the first time you've had it. You'll be like, oh my God, I cannot do that. It feels bulky. It's thick. Yes, because the thing is, especially with the upper denture, a complete upper denture, it has to have a base that's covering pretty much the roof of your mouth. And why is that? Because it needs stability. It needs to be stable. You cannot just have it on the, where the teeth used to be. It has to have basically as the base, it has to cover your upper, of course, where the teeth are, but also the roof of your mouth. What about the lower? The lower only covers where the teeth are, but the problem with the lower is always that the tongue is there and the tongue just keeps pushing it. And this is where patients be like, it doesn't stay. Every time I'm eating, it's moving. It's removable. It's removable. You guys have to think about that. So you're eating or you're talking, sometimes it will move. The top always have better stability because this is, it's getting the stability from sitting on the roof of your mouth. So it's more stable. But the bottom is always the problem. It's removable. Always think about that. Then the other issue is with time, let's say you have a complete upper and lower denture, we're happy, we're eating, we're chewing, then all of a sudden it starts to feel loose. Oh my God, I'm eating, it's moving now, it's rocking. And why is that? Because it's putting pressure on your bone weight because you're eating and functioning. So what happened, the bone underneath it, it starts to shrink. You start to get what we call like a little space now that's between the inside of that denture and the tissues, and the tissues are supported by the bone. So now we have a space, and that's why it starts to rock. So how do we fix that? It's pretty much, you need to get what we call it reline. How is that done? Sometimes it's done chair side, like at the dentist office. They basically add more material and make it a little bit more stable. Now, can we get more relines over and over? You can, but it's better after maybe a couple of relines. And the reline doesn't really happen like all of a sudden. Some patients, they can last with, depending on how you eat and what kind of food you're eating, it can last sometimes, 7 years, 8 years, and you can start getting a reline. After this, if you get like a couple of relines, maybe it's time to think about getting a new complete denture, upper and lower. Okay, so this is number one. We're talking about a full denture, upper and lower, or whichever, if there is, no teeth. The second type is the partial denture. So let's say you have a couple of missing teeth on this side, couple of missing teeth here. You have only your front teeth and nothing in the back, and you can't chew. And I always tell the patients, your front teeth are not made for you to chew on them. Otherwise, you're gonna break them. And they're looking at me and I'm said, you're supposed to bite in the front and chew in the back. Now, if we have no teeth in the back, that's a big problem. And why is that? Because even if you start to chew on your gums, then the bone starts to really, really, really shrink like crazy. Like sometimes we have patients, we call them flat ridge, like there is no bone. Like it's like some patients, actually, I don't want to scare you, but some patients, because there is no bone and they've been chewing on the gums for so long, it becomes like a paper thin and they break. They fracture from just normal eating. The jawbone, not the top. Top, you have a skull, so at least, but the bottom, it becomes so thin that it can break. So always try to, let's not get to that point, okay? Let's just try to save the bone and preserve the bone until, we can get something new down the line. But always, that's why I keep saying, once you have a missing tooth, you always need to get like a socket preservation, like grafting in that area or something, at least get some teeth in there. How is that? By a partial denture or a bridge or an implant. But partial denture, basically, when you have few missing teeth here and here, of course, a good option is to get a dental bridge or an implant, but sometimes, cost-wise, partial denture is the cheapest option at this point, but you still need teeth. So even if it's, the cheapest option, get it. And then in the future, you can always upgrade to get an implant or a bridge or whatever, but always have some teeth in your mouth, please. So it's definitely less expensive than a bridge or dental implant, and there is no surgery involved. Those teeth are gone, so we need to put teeth and it's no surgery involved. And as I said, it can be done also like, depending on the type, and I'm gonna go over, there are different types of partial denture. So depending on the type, some of them are done like in 2 appointments. You come the first appointment, take pictures, scan, or it can take a little bit longer depending on the type of the partial denture. And it can, of course, improve your ability to chew and speak and digestion. You're eating now, you're chewing now. It can be adjusted and repaired also depending on the type of the partial denture. The cons now are sometimes, depending on the type, the hooks, the clasp can show. If you get like the types now of partial denture, the clasp, the hook can show if it's metal. What are we gonna do? There are like a little bit ways around it by putting what we call a flexi clasp, and it basically is a hook that has the same color as the gum, and it's called a flexi clasp. Can also feel a little bit bulky compared to your natural teeth. Of course, I mean, it's something new in your mouth. And some patients are like, I can't use this. You have to try to use it because we don't want to get to the point that there is like the bone is like paper thin. We need to start putting teeth here. And the big thing really is once you have a new denture or a new partial denture, for like the first week or two, this is like I keep telling patients, you go get yourself a new pair of shoes. It takes time to get used to them because there are those little sore spots. So you're putting it in and it's rubbing against the gum here, or you're eating and the bite feels a little bit pushing something here. This is where you need to go to your dentist to have it adjusted. It takes like 5 minutes to get it adjusted for you. Those little sore spots, make sure you wear your denture so the dentist can actually see that little sore so he can adjust that. And it's very easy. We do it outside, like chair side. We just kind of drill that little area, make it a little bit more comfortable, polish, and give it back to you. And you feel, oh, looks great. And you also, when you have that little sore, after you get the adjustment done, sometimes it still feels a little sore because it is sore. So just try to rinse with warm salt water. I always tell the patient. And of course, it's removable. It's a removable partial denture. It will never be like the natural teeth, but it's a good option. Now, what are the different types of a partial denture? We have usually 3 types. The first, it's called a cast, or basically it's a metal partial denture. It's not all made of metal, but the framework is made of metal. And comparing this to the other types, it's much thinner. And why is that? Because metal is, of course, it's much stronger. So if you have it on the top teeth, there are different designs. So one of them is called anterior palate. Like, this is getting a little bit too complicated, but basically it's the best one is when you have a bar in the front. It sits on the roof of your mouth. There is like a little metal bar. It goes on the top, the front part of your roof of your mouth, and another bar that goes in the back, depending on how many teeth are missing. Then there is the other type that's called the horseshoe, which basically sits on, when you put your tongue and you feel like a little rough spot on the roof of the mouth. This is called the rugae area. So we basically, that metal can cover that area alone. Okay, or there is even like a whole metal covering the whole entire. Nobody really does like to do that because then you don't have like really taste buds. You cannot taste your food. It's the strongest one, but I doubt you want to like have a metal mouth really at this point. But usually the 2 most common ones are the one with the 2 bars on the top, or the one that looks like a horseshoe. And because it's made of metal, so it can be a lot thinner, okay, compared to a resin or a flexi. These are the other 2 different types of partial dentures. So the metal one, it's much thinner, so you don't have that gagging sensation. A lot of patients are like, oh my God, every time I put it in, I want to gag, because it's bulky, because it's sitting where, unfortunately, your tongue is like, okay, what's going on here? But if you have something thin, the tongue doesn't really notice it after, like a week or 2. So compare. Okay, the cast is the most expensive types of a partial denture because that has to be like sent to the lab, coming back. It's more work, and it usually takes around a couple of months to have it in your mouth. This is type 1. Type 2 is the resin, the one that's very common, and it's very the cheapest type. And how is that made? Like, basically, it's the base is made of metal, the teeth are acrylic, and there are usually metal hooks on the side to sit on the teeth. So So the resin, or like if you have like a missing front tooth, we make it also like the base is made usually of resin, and the front tooth is an acrylic. If you're waiting on an implant or something, you have to put a tooth in there. So cast, metal, partial denture, resin partial denture, and then the third one is the flex, or basically the valplast, and that's the flexi partial denture. And in my opinion, this is like the most aesthetic, and it can be done like actually in a very short period of time compared to the two other ones. And the flex, there is no metal involved. There is no metal at all. So the base is made of resin, and the teeth are made usually of acrylic or porcelain, depending on how fancy you want. But the big thing is the hooks are also made of that flexi resin, so they look exactly like the gum. The color matches. So you're wearing it and you're looking at yourself and it's like, I don't really see different. Of course, your tongue is gonna be like, okay, what's going on? It still has to have a certain thickness, but it's not as bulky as the resin, and it's not metal like, of course, the cast. Now, pros and cons of every one of them. The Valplast, it sometimes can be done, mostly it can be done in 2 appointments. And because we have 3D printers, so we send and we do a lot of stuff in our office. The cast, it has to be sent to the lab and done. The resin, or the resin partial denture has to be done in the lab as well. So those are the 3 different types of a partial denture, okay? They're still not flex, they're still not too stable like an implant. They're not a dental bridge, so they are removable. Always think about that. So sometimes you can use with a complete denture, or a little bit of glue, the little glue you get from the pharmacy. You can use a little like dot here and there just to make it a little bit more stable. Now the difference between a resin and the Valplast or the flexi, one very big important one. So the Valplast, they look very pretty and they look very natural compared to the resin, but we cannot add a tooth. Let's say you have 2 teeth missing here, 2 teeth missing there, and then that tooth needs to be extracted and added. We cannot add it to the Valplast. The material does not allow addition. So the resin, and on the other hand, it can allow addition. So we can, okay, add to the existing partial denture. The Valplast, you're gonna need a whole new one. The cast also, depending on the design, sometimes we can add teeth or we cannot. So really you have to go to your dentist and they can explain that to you. Okay, so we spoke about a complete denture. We spoke about the partial denture, or basically when you have, a little bit of missing teeth, not everything that's missing. Then there is the overdenture. And what is an overdenture? So an overdenture, it's basically when you have no teeth at all, and now we need to place implant, but it's still removable. And how do we do that? It's more common in the lower jaw. Remember when I said your tongue pushes everything and it's like, I don't want nobody to stay here, and it's really removable. Your top teeth, if your top complete denture, sometimes you can get away with just a complete full denture on the top because it's more stable. But the bottom, the tongue is like, no, nobody's gonna stay here, and it literally keeps pushing that poor denture. So there is a solution for this, and the solution is depending, of course, on the bone. We don't want to wait too long until we have no bone left, but the solution would be to put a couple of implants. Usually we like to put them in the canine or the premolar area, one on each side. Usually a couple are sufficient, depending on how you choose. Sometimes we put 4, depending really how strong you are. If you're like a big man, like big, you like to eat your meat and your steaks and stuff, yeah, you might want to get more than 2. If you are like, like a little smaller lady, petite, yeah, 2 will be enough. And how do we do that? So basically the denture has to be made first. Okay, we have a denture and now it's getting wobbly and I need implants. So we go and we place a couple of implants and we just let them sleep until they integrate and they basically attach. So the implant looks like, like this, and basically the bone cells, they just go in between and they integrate and they become one piece. Then You come or you go to the dentist and they expose that top part of the implant. They make a little housing on the inside of the denture. So there is a little housing, and then there is something that we put on top, like basically like a male and female. We put something on top of the implant, and then they snap. And you basically put it and you feel like chick, like a little click. And it snaps in and it stays in its place. It's great. It works fantastic. Now, pros and cons. It works great. It's stable. You have to clean really well around those implants. You don't want any food. So that housing, you don't want plaque to be sitting in there. I have some patients, they come and like, it doesn't click. And I'm looking, I was like, did you clean that? I'm scared of cleaning it. You have to brush it. Don't be scared. Do not be scared. If there is plaque or food debris sitting in that little housing, it will never go in. It will never ever go in. So here you are trying to wobble it like different way. It has to be clean. The inside of the housing inside of the denture and the top of the implant has to be completely clean. Go with the little brush and clean it really well. Even your denture, you have to clean it too. You have to scrub it. So of course, with time, even though it's implant supported and it's an overdenture. So sometimes you start to get food stuck underneath it. And why is that? Because you need to have a reline. So in any case, you might have to get a reline. And this is because, remember at the beginning of the episode, I said from eating and chewing, the bone starts to shrink a little bit and we get that little space and we just need to add more material. It can be done in a chair side, like in a dental office. Sometimes, if there is like a big space, you might want to send it to the lab and they can add more or even change the whole base altogether. And this is when you might want to start to think about getting a new overdenture. Also, so when it clicks, there is a little rubber housing in that little housing inside the denture, inside, not on the implant, inside the denture. There is a little rubber piece. And with time, like maybe once a year, you need to have that replaced because it dries. So there is no clicking no more. It's not, and that's happened with time and, using it for a long time. So that little rubber piece, it needs to be replaced every now and then. Okay? But these are basically the main type. Then, of course, there is, implant supported denture, and we'll talk more about it in another episode, but that's basically the main criteria now. Number one, a complete denture, a full denture, if you have no teeth at all, top or bottom or opposite. Number two, partial denture. And we spoke about the cast that's made like out of metal. And the second one is the resin, and then the third one is the Valplast or the Flexi partial denture. Okay, sometimes you can actually mix like, and I do it sometimes with my patients, if you want like a really strong one, so you want a cast partial denture but you don't want to see the metal hooks in the front. In the back it's okay, but in the front I'll send to the lab and I'll say, leave the metal hooks in the back, you still need them for strength, but the front ones, change them one to a flexi, so they look a little bit better. The only problem with partial denture that I also forgot to mention, if you don't clean those supporting teeth, we can end up with cavities. So the partial denture sits on teeth, right? It sits like you have front teeth here, so it sits like, say, on the premolars. If you don't really clean well around that area, you're going to end up with cavities. And why is that? Because it's a partial denture. It moves, so food can get stuck underneath it. So you have to make sure you clean your teeth really well and also the inside of the partial really well. And of course, very important that you take them out to let your tissues breathe. I have patients their partner never knew that they have dentures to begin with. They sleep with them, they eat with them, they don't take them out. Like, it's insane. They've been together for years. They don't know. And they come to me and I'm like, I understand, but you still have to take them because now your tissues are very upset, very, very upset. And how does it show? Then you start to see the redness in the gum, or even worse, sometimes you get a fungal infection. And maybe I should have a little episode about the fungal infection or candidiasis that happens because of that denture that you are not taking out. You have to take it out. You have to clean it. You have to let your tissues breathe a little bit of warm salt water. Brush really well. little bit of even your tissues. You still need to brush it, even get a little cotton or a gauze and wipe your tissues. If I were you, just brush the gum. You need to massage the area too. You need to massage your gums too. Okay. I hope that wasn't too much today, but basically, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Oh, there is one important one too, an immediate denture. Sometimes you go to the dentist and you're like, I have my teeth, they're very wobbly, they're very wiggly, and I cannot walk without teeth. So this is when we have something called an immediate denture. Immediate denture can be an immediate complete denture or an immediate partial denture. So how does that work? So if you have teeth usually in the aesthetic zone in the front, and we want to just wait on this. So I usually go and extract the back teeth first. And why? Because they have big roots, they take longer to heal. And I always tell the patients it's gonna wait 4 weeks. The healing usually takes around 4 weeks. So we wait, and then after that, so the gum and the bone now at that proper level, we start taking impression or scanning or how we're doing it, sending it to the lab, and then they start to send us. We're taking now the bite registration, like basically the relationship between top jaw, lower jaw, select the color of the teeth, do a little bit of a try-in. Then we have the denture is ready. I tell the lab, I need the denture ready. The patient comes, and now the front teeth, we pull those front teeth, give them the denture on the same day. It's an immediate denture. The good thing, you don't walk without teeth. The bad thing, we never did a try-in. We never did it, so you don't know how the teeth are gonna look like. Some patients, they don't care. They just don't wanna walk without teeth, which I understand. The other problem is because we pulled the back the back teeth first, so this is stable, but then you're starting to get food stuck here. And why is that? Somebody's gonna tell me, because I kept saying this the whole episode, because the bone and the gum is gonna shrink, then you get food stuck in the area. So they usually know we're gonna need to do a reline no matter what. The reline in this case, in this case, I would probably do it like in a couple of months usually. So after we pulled, down here, the area start to collect stuff because the bone and the gum, there is that little gap. So we do a reline chair side, and then everybody's happy. In the future, you might need another reline too. That's the problem with immediate denture, but it's a great solution for people who don't want to have, walking around without teeth. Okay? I hope we got this today. All right. If you have any questions, or if you're looking for a dentist on the East Coast, we are here to help. We are in Princeton, New Jersey, and we're here to help you guys. Make sure you write in the comments below if you have any questions or any experiences, and like, share, and subscribe. Okay. And don't forget to take care of your teeth or yourself so that they can take care of you. Until then, keep smiling with Dr. Saad. Have a good one, everybody.